We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast, episode number 87.
Welcome to the We Make Movies podcast, making the world a better place, one film at a time. And now, here are your hosts, two aspiring filmmakers, or as they're otherwise known, waiters, Garrett and Chad.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast. Oh, that cut off rather abruptly. The podcast, it's all about how to get your movie made, how to get it seen by other people, and how to get it awesome. Still with the messed up intro, my children have, I think my children actually ate my iPad that has the correct sound files on it, so I'm probably going to have to just re-record a new intro.
Okay. Did you see my single lady move?
I did see that.
I thought that was your wave, like your Princess Di wave.
It's all my single lady.
As well as Michelle's headbanging. I highlighted that for a I'm your host, Garrett Robinson. With me, as always, faithful co-host Chad Kukahiko and Michelle Lucadou. We are all of us independent filmmakers and members of the We Make Movies filmmaking community in Los Angeles. How it's going, guys?
He's good.
He's good.
Okay.
We missed you last week, Michelle, but you are continuing the theme of last week, which was ragging on Jurassic World in your segments later on. So,
yes, in fact, I was away in Hawaii for a wedding. Missing you guys so much on my little section of private beach. Working on my tan with my toes in the ocean.
Michelle, go to hell.
You know you can't rub it in that much. I was just there like a week before you, so.
Chad's like, whatever, it's my home.
I hate you both. So, as always, if you're watching this live, feel free to comment on the YouTube channel or tweet us at #WeMakeMovies, and we will respond to your comments live on the air. And we'll get right into the news topics, and I'm starting off with a weird, maybe cool, probably not that cool, but cool potential story, which is that on July 14th, a new DVD edition of X-Men Days of Future Past is being released, which sounds kind of crazy. It's called the Rogue Cut, and they're calling it, it's not an extended edition, they're calling it a new version of the film, but it is actually just kind of an extended edition. Rogue, who is a favorite character of many people who love the X-Men comics, I don't know if she's anybody's favorite character from the films, but from the films?
No, from the comics.
From the comics, there we go.
Yes.
Yeah, because anyway, she was in Days of Future Past, and she was filmed, but then she was cut out of the film. Like, she wasn't in the theatrical version of the film. This DVD edition puts her back in. It's almost 20 minutes longer than the theatrical release, and she's back in just like she was in the original script. Now, some websites have already seen the new Rogue Cut, and their reports are like somewhat disappointing for anybody who was like really expecting her to be a major character. She's not. She doesn't have a major role. She's rescued from the X-Men mansion and has a few small lines of dialogue. But
that's it.
What?
And that's it?
And that's basically it.
Oh.
But Mystique and Magneto have like a lot more content in the film, apparently. But I guess X-Men Days of Future Past, more Magneto and Mystique cut didn't have like the same ring to it, so they're just going with the Rogue Cut. So if you liked Days of Future Past, which I did, I thought it was fun and a good movie. The Rogue Cut is probably going to be worth checking out, even though you probably won't be actually getting like the Rogue Cut. But I do like the idea.
Maybe they mean it like rogue as in like rogue, not the person, like
no,
rogue,
it's very
like rogue.
No, in the trailers, it's very explicitly, it's like, we've put Rogue back into the film. Like, they, apparently every shot that she's in the movie is like in this trailer, and I've seen it, and there's only like a few shots, so there you go. So but it might be worth checking out for the Magneto and Mystique thing. However, it got me thinking in another direction. I do enjoy the idea of releasing sort of an alternate or different version of the film, and like the potential for Days of Future Past. Like, what if you did like an alternate timeline edit? Like, you just shot some different scenes differently from the way that they were in the theatrical release, because it's a time travel movie. You can do anything. And what if you just made like, hey, we've got a whole other version of the film where most of the stuff is the same, but like 20% of the scenes have been changed in ways that will kind of make you go, oh, that's a cool idea. Like, why didn't they do that instead of having, you know, an extra scene where Rogue gets rescued from a mansion? I don't know.
Hasn't somebody done that before? Hasn't there already been like a film that was made with 2 different endings?
I couldn't.
Or like I feel like that's been done.
Yeah, that's been done. I can't remember.
Yeah, alternate endings. Like Blade Runner had an alternate ending that the director originally wanted. He was like, "This is the ending that I wanted," and the studio would not let me put it in the film. And now, 10 years later, now that Blade Runner is like this epically amazing cult classic, not even cult classic, it's just a classic, period, he got to release his version of the film. But like a different version, that's cool. So I wish they'd done that. Somebody should do that. Somebody go out and just do that.
On a side note.
About Blade Runner really quick. I like the narration. Not having the narration makes the film so much better. It is so good. That's his anyway. But now you, Michelle.
Yeah.
On a side note, and this is a very short trip into my ultra geekiness. My boyfriend's Uber driver the other day professed himself to be a time traveler. And he was listening to like 1940s music, and he just simply said, "I'm a time traveler." That was it. I just came here to, check it out. And then, so we started talking about time traveling, and apparently we have very different ideas of time traveling. So a quick question, does one gauge one's ideas of time travel rules from... So where do you get your idea of, like, time traveling rules? He gets his from Back to the Future. I do not agree with that. Say you're carrying this...
Who's he? You're the Uber driver or your boyfriend?
No, my boyfriend. Uber driver wasn't talking. Which is
I don't think you talk to the Uber driver after that. I don't think you continue the conversation. I think you leave that one the hell alone.
Completely disagree. That is the beginning of an epic. I would take a much longer ride. A story like that.
I think he's just an actor. But like, if I'm time traveling and I'm holding this water bottle, does the water bottle come with me because I'm holding it? Back to the Future rules. This comes with me.
Of course.
Most time travel rules, that does not come with me.
Well, the Looper is where I get my rules. I love the way that they deal with time travel in that movie. In that they're like, don't even mess with it.
Yeah, it's like, hey, listen, this is what happened, and you're like, but what about? No, shut the fuck up. This is what happened.
It's brilliant.
That's amazing. Okay, so Looper.
Another side note, and then we will stop rabbit holing and move on with the show. Have you ever heard about that practical joke where you run into a store? I've always wanted to film this as a prank because it's harmless and put it up on my YouTube channel. You run into a store and you ask the cashier, "What year is it?" And they say 2015. And you go, "It worked!" And you just run out of the store. I want to do that.
That's cool. Hey, applause for the almost.
I'm doing that tomorrow.
Fantastic.
Do it. Tape it. Have somebody Periscope it.
Please.
Or Vine it or something.
That's a good idea.
Which anyway, really I'm gonna go ahead and jump into my.
Life. We're talking about film. I'm sorry.
So
go, Chad. Do it.
It appears that indie film is making more and more inroads into the digital space. Ted Hope was actually an indie film producer for a number of years. He's produced at various different levels so many independent feature films that it's hard to recount. Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, 21 Grams, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. These are just a few of them. Then he ran the San Francisco Film Society, which in turn runs the San Francisco International Film Festival, one of the big ones, amongst other things. Just like Sundance, they do a lot of things more than just the Sundance Film Festival. Anyway, in January, Amazon, this isn't actually news, but at any rate, in January, Amazon announced that they would be hiring Hope as to manage all their creative development over at Amazon Original Movies as their new head of production. That's his title, is head of production. And the plan behind Amazon Original Movies was that they were going to be producing 12 features each year and then release those films theatrically for just 4 to 8 weeks and then put them onto Amazon Prime alone, premiere them on Amazon Prime for a while. And it's been like more than 6 months. It happened, the announcement was like halfway through January, but I have heard nothing about any Amazon Original Movies. I've just heard, Transparent, the series, got picked up for a third season before the second season even began. But But I'm hearing nothing, and then I'm hearing other stuff about children's series and stuff like that. But I've heard nothing about their movies yet. And I know, 6 months is not a lot of time in the filmmaking world, and I don't mean to really mock, but I do think that given Hope's track record, he is probably the perfect man for the job. I do actually have a little bit of insight into the way that and it's sort of secondhand, maybe third hand, how Amazon works in general, and it's because we've done actually at the agency where I work a fair amount of the commercials for the Amazon Stick and stuff like that, the ones with what's his name, hello Rob. Huh? Busey. Right. And it was our Seattle office, but still it was us. And but I've heard nothing about this. I've heard nothing at all. I haven't heard anything even about stuff getting greenlit. So it's 6 months have gone by. I've heard nothing. I hope to hear something soon. It seems to me that Ted is probably a really great guy. My doubts are actually not Ted. My doubts are Amazon. I don't know if they have the balls to pull the trigger on the stuff that he's going to want to do, put the kind of money that he wants to spend on it. But
anyway. And that's my only comment is, that's Amazon. Like I obviously don't have any kind of personal relationship with them, but I do publish through them, and it's like they are exactly as transparent as a brick wall. Like it's you just don't know what's going on until they're suddenly like, hey, this is happening, and you're like, oh, what do I do? Like you have, we'll see. That's exciting though.
It is exciting.
Have you seen?
Go ahead.
He has if you haven't checked out Ted Hope's blog, his website, it's called Hope for Film.
Oh wow.
And he's got he has a bunch of really interesting things that like stuff to say, and there's he has videos of him talking and let's make better films, and he talks about issues and action that you can take on film issues and all that stuff. So yeah, I think it's hopeforfilm.com.
I'll check it out. I'll find it. I'll put it in the show notes too.
Yeah.
Michelle, rant at us.
Okay, I had to. I just had to. I don't know. Today's my ranting day. Okay, so my Google Docs stopped working. Okay, it's okay. I can rant on my own. Okay, so I hear that you guys ranted about Jurassic World last week. I need to rant about it again, unless you ranted about Bryce Dallas Howard's character.
No.
Oh, good.
We didn't talk about that specifically, and we didn't rant last week. We
were saddened.
We were. I was slightly happier with it than Chad was, but neither one of us was super happy with it. So it was sort of like
going again.
It was discussing our varying degrees of not quite being happy. So
disappointment.
Yeah.
So I guess today kind of my little soapbox is women in film in many different ways, but Bryce Dallas Howard's role in Jurassic World was maybe the worst written female character in history. She was the worst.
Whoa, in history. Oh wow.
Okay, maybe not, but she was all the worst stereotypes of the American career woman put together in one white power suit and those beige pumps that she doesn't take off when she's been fucking chased down the street by dinosaur. Still wearing my beige pumps because we still look good. So her character's Claire, she's the manager or whatever, the Jurassic World part, but she doesn't know the ages of her nephews because she's so successful that she doesn't have time for them, and she's virtually heartless, and she calls her dinosaurs assets rather than dinosaurs, and she's taken us back to the 80s, the 1980s, in a world where we view career women in society as giving up everything else, and it's just the most awful, terrible thing ever. And good job, Jurassic World writers. Good job. Nice work.
This is basically a lot of the same stuff I was saying last week.
I will get on board with that. She was super annoying in that film.
But
I wanted to punch her in the.
But it wasn't but I don't think it was the character's fault. It was the writer's fault. They so clearly had judgments on a career woman. You know what I mean?
It was. Yeah. I'd say it was. I'd say it was like. I view it as like it's not her
we
fault.
hated her. Yeah,
It's not the actor's fault. It's the characterization and the writing. Yeah, it's definitely.
Well, and even that we call it a career woman.
Right.
It's just a woman. Right. As opposed to what? Like a non-career woman?
You know those career men.
Right?
Those career men are people that exist.
I don't even know the names of half my nephews. I mean, come on, you know.
Yeah.
Mind you, I have a gazillion. There's like 1,400 people in my family, but
I have 0 nephews, so I have an advantage there. I have no brothers or sisters. I
have 0 nephews too.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm number 7 out of 8. That does not include my half brother and half sister, so that's 10 kids total.
Wowzers!
Holy moly!
Okay, see, I understand that. See, because I have 11 aunts and uncles on my mom's side, so I have about a bajillion cousins, and I remember all of them, but they're having kids now.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember.
No, I'm a great uncle, like 6, 7 times already. It's crazy. My sister's oldest kids, they all have their kids, and they're in their early 20s, and they're freaking having all these kids. It's insane.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
So,
well, I'll jump on.
Both of your family history, but back to Jurassic World. I'm just gonna say, boots. Bad job, Jurassic World. Nobody needs to know how many cousins and nephews I have. So. Let's carry on and we'll talk about film.
Okay. I'll jump on and I'll talk about... we're getting more details. We didn't get to talk about this, or I didn't talk about this last week, but we're getting more details about the upcoming Spider-Man reboot. And if you are interested in the film, you probably already know that Tom Holland has been cast in the role, and there's quite a few notable things about him. True to Marvel's form, after the first Iron Man film, for the most part, Tom Holland is like relatively unknown. Doesn't have too many huge film credits. He hasn't been. He's definitely not like an A-lister.
He's no Frodo.
Yeah, exactly. You mean Elijah Wood, or do you mean? Yeah. Okay, good. Or I thought you meant like actual Frodo. I was trying to make the connection. He's definitely not a hobbit. He's not an actual hobbit.
I thought he said Froyo. I was getting hungry.
He's definitely not frozen yogurt.
I got really confused all of a sudden.
He is British again. I guess after Andrew Garfield's rampant success, they felt I don't know, whatever. He's a I watched some clips of him in films and some interviews with him. He seems really personable. He seems great. But the most notable thing about him is how freaking young he is. He is 19 years old. 19!
Wow.
And that's because, in what I think is a really, really smart move, this movie is about Spider-Man in high school. And not the faux, crappy high school that we got with Tobey Maguire in 2002. Do you know that he was 27 when he was being a high school student in the first Spider-Man film?
I mean, that's some 90210 shit.
Like, what the fuck? And by the way, just a quick aside, fuck you, Vampire Diaries. These people are 35. These are not high schoolers. Thank you. Anyway, this is a very, very young, very nerdy Peter Parker, and I love it. I think it's totally awesome because one of the things that has always set Spider-Man apart in the comics that I don't think that they've done a good enough job of doing in the films, probably because there weren't other superheroes, but in the comics, he is a high school child fighting alongside Iron Man and Daredevil, who are both adults with responsibilities of varying degrees and like battling alien invasions. Like, Spider-Man has to fight people that are trying to kill people, and he is like 15 in the comics, and he will probably be cast as like 15, 16 in the movies, which when you're 19 kind of works, you know. So he's just got this massive responsibility thrust on his shoulders at a very young age. That's what I love, or one of the things that I love about comic book Spider-Man, and that is what they're going for. They're actually saying that it's going to be like a John Hughes film, and I'm sort of like,
ooh, really?
I would like to see that John Hughes film. I don't remember him ever having superheroes, but
I just found out that Elijah Wood and Tobey Maguire are 2 different people.
You thought it was the same guy?
Wait,
I thought it was the same person.
You thought the same guy played Frodo that played... Oh, no wonder we were all so confused.
What?
I thought they were the same person.
Oh,
Nope.
Look at them. They look the same.
No, they
Actually,
don't.
No.
The same.
No,
they look the same.
No, this is true. This is a true story. Elijah Wood has had people come up to him and say, "Oh my God, Spider-Man, could you sign my autograph?" And he signs as Tobey Maguire because he doesn't want to disappoint them. And Tobey Maguire has done the same thing.
See, I'm telling you, it's not just me.
Seriously?
No, it's not just you. But it did
don't-
confuse me when you said it. So
Okay.
maybe I'm thinking of two
I
other
was
actors.
wondering
but I
why you were confused, and now I'm like, I'm the idiot.
think...
So for those of you who want to see, Chad, can we include a picture of each in the show notes?
I wish I could. Oh, actually, hey, hold on. I can actually show this.
While you pull that up,
Yeah.
while you pull that up and get it ready for screen share, I'm going to tell an interesting story that I think, Chad, you'll actually like. Apparently, the selling point for Tom Holland was when they had him do a reading with Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and Holland just killed it. He was apparently fantastic. They don't know when that scene with the two of them together is going to happen in the movies, or if they do, they're not telling. But according to Kevin Feige, he sat them down and he did the reading, and that was it. That sealed the deal. So there you have it. Actors, if you want to play a Marvel superhero in a film, just do an excellent reading with Robert Downey Jr. That's all there is to it. You're in. You can be any superhero you want.
So easy.
Oh,
Okay.
Chat. Okay.
So let's pull this up.
Elijah Wood, Tobey Maguire.
Same guy.
Not remotely.
It's not the same guy. Tobey
Same
Maguire. This is a bad comparison though, because Tobey Maguire has scruff in all of these, and
Yeah.
Elijah Wood only has scruff in like
The
one.
scruff off, and
Yeah.
it's the same person.
Yeah, I can definitely see the resemblance.
Is there a height difference? What's our height difference?
I don't know.
I'm
but
gonna
it's
guess
still,
that like Tobey Maguire is like. I'm gonna guess Tobey Maguire is like 5'6" and Elijah
All this time,
5'3".
I thought the dude who played Spider-Man also played Frodo. This whole
Boy,
time.
he'd be like what's his name?
Wow.
He'd be like the J.J. Abrams of actors, who
Right.
just owns every geek franchise ever.
That's amazing.
It'd be Harrison Ford.
Oh God.
Yeah, well, that too.
Yeah.
A good actor.
Michelle, do you want to tell us about? Do you want to tell us about something?
Okay, so I was perusing my iTunes the other day, and this thing came up. That was a Sundance film. It was a Sundance documentary, and it was called The Nightmare. And I'm like, because I'm a big horror fan, so I click on it, but I'm like, it's a doc. But apparently, what happened was this guy Rodney Asher has this condition called sleep paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is you fall asleep, your body falls asleep, and everything falls asleep except for your consciousness. So you are aware, but you're not able to move your body, you're not able to do anything, speak, whatever. And it's an actual thing. It's like akin to sleep tremors or whatever. So this Asher guy started like posting in message groups, like YouTube videos and that kind of thing. Like, hey guys, I'm looking for participants and stuff like that. And all of these people started coming to him and telling them his stories. So instead of just doing like your normal documentary, like someone's talking, like kadalala, he kind of like turned it into this like weird narrative documentary thing where he interviewed the people. Like there are, I think, eight people that are suffering from sleep paralysis, and then recreated them with professional actors as like kind of a narrative. So It's not like that like dramatic like reenactment like that happens on all those like
Sure.
wives that kill their husbands next on channel you've never heard of. But it was like a cinematographic.
Cinematic? Cinematic? I don't know. Cinematic? I would go with cinematic.
Recreation of these like sleep paralysis like things, which is the freaking trippiest, the most terrifying thing ever. Like it's terrifying. It's terrifying. So the camera is just there, and you're just like you're not moving, and then like you're like you want the camera to move, but the camera doesn't move, but you're like stuck there, and it's like it's just really amazing.
I get them
So
actually.
you get oh, Chad.
Yeah. I don't. It's a long story. I don't want to get into it now, but it is. I mean, yeah.
Do you have like the boogeyman come in and say, okay, you don't want to get into it anyway?
An ex-girlfriend of mine back when, but like 60 pounds ago, I was dating this girl. I was friends with. She's friends with Kevin from the Backstreet Boys' wife. I can't remember her name. It was a long freaking time ago. And I went over there Christmas, like 2 Christmases in a row. I went over and hung out with them, and when I talked to Kevin, when this stuff really started to happen to me was when I was on the road with Stomp and when I was staying in hotel rooms, and that's when it got to the point where I could walk into a hotel room and I knew it was going to happen. It hasn't happened in a long time, but it used to happen a lot when I was on the road. And Kevin, I can call him Kevin because I met him.
Backstreet Boy Kevin.
You know,
Kevin.
he had the same exact experience. He was having the exact, and he came to the exact same conclusions. I don't believe it's just a mental thing. I do believe that it is supernatural. And just because it's happened to me way too many times, and it's been very, but I don't want to get into it too much. It will take up too much time. Yeah, no.
Kristen Willits.
It is apparently who?
Kristen Willits. Kevin from the Backstreet Boys' wife.
Oh, God.
Timing.
Apparently, it's a fairly prevalent thing that happens. It happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, it does.
And there was like a lot of response to this, and so, but it's like the critical reception too has been great. It's like 70% of Rotten Tomatoes, and like it's, solid holding. Anyway. I say thumbs up and check it out if you like creepy. If you like creepy. I mean, it's like creepy because it's like real and creepy.
Yeah.
I don't like creepy, but it sounds right up somebody else's alley. Chad, go ahead.
Yeah. So a couple weeks ago, the Hollywood Reporter published this really fantastic. It's kind of a long but really fantastic article about HBO and their eventual move toward online. Since their chairman, Richard Plepler, announced just 2 years ago that HBO had no plans to move away from cable. One of the most interesting revelations from the article was about that announcement. In actual fact, Plepler was making that announcement at this New York media conference. This was May 2013, and he was lying. As he was making that announcement, they already, at that time, had a crew in Seattle working on their online service. And it's obviously very validating to hear this because I was saying it for years. I've been saying that for such a long time, and it's funny now, that they made their announcement late last year, and then April when they actually made good on it and everything. It takes time to figure this kind of stuff out, even if you have the kind of money that HBO has. But it's I've been saying that they were going to do that for years, and they were saying no, and it was just making me angry because I knew they had no choice. But even they knew that they had to, and I think that obviously their reasons for lying about it had probably more to do with stock value and stuff like that. They didn't want to announce it until it was actually ready or very close to ready, whatever. But anyway, that's great. It was a really long article. There's so much that's amazing about it. I'm actually going to post it in the show notes for sure. One of the other things that was really cool was that Richard Plepler, who's the chairman of HBO, and Michael Lombardo, who's the programming chief, the two of them kind of took power together when their predecessor was fired for, who was a guy whose name I didn't write down. I probably should have. He had a big part in getting HBO to where it was at the time, but they were already starting to kind of drift off post HBO, the Sopranos and stuff like that, post The Wire, all that. They were starting to write off. This was like 2006, 2007. And then when Plepler and Lombardo took over, there were a lot of naysayers. But they did a really fantastic job, and they apparently have developed this really excellent rapport. I also saw, while I was reading that article, there was a little video, and it's obviously, fluff piece, but it looked really genuine with a bunch of the people from the shows, like the girl who runs Girls, and some of the people from Game of Thrones, some of the different, and what's her name from Veep, had a bunch of different people talking about them and how they just, it sounds really fantastic. I'm hoping it's true. They sound pretty genuine when they were saying that, Plepler and Lombardo, they just basically, the notes that they give are really thoughtful, and they're not stupid, and they really, they know what they're talking about. They've been doing this now for a while, and even though Lombardo didn't really have much actual creative experience before, because he was like the head of marketing and PR when he took over in that little kind of thing that happened in 2006, 2007. But they've been doing a really fantastic job. They've developed this rapport, and it's really interesting because HBO, and I wasn't, you can kind of tell this, but this article made it really obvious that HBO is the place where everybody wants to go. You know what I mean? Obviously, you're going to get more money off of network, but you're going to have more creative control at HBO, and that's why people like Scorsese and some of these really big, amazing people, they're going to HBO. But another thing that they were saying in it is that, like, all of the shows, I'm sure not all of them, but it sounds like the majority of the shows that are on, like, Netflix and whatever, Amazon, anything that else is or cable or digital, whatever, HBO is who they go to first, and anyone else, if they go anywhere else, it's basically like they're getting HBO's leftovers. You know what I mean? They're getting the stuff that HBO is passing on, by and large. That's not 100% the case, and obviously I'm a big fan of Netflix, but they don't have anywhere near the money that HBO has. So it's it's a lot of, in terms of what they can give to their people, whether that's going to last. I mean, that's the thing that is really, they couldn't talk about in this article at all, which is the thing that really interests me the most, is how is HBO going to do in the years to come. Obviously, they're not going to be able to cover that because that's the future, but that's so interesting to me. April, is like 2 months away, 2 months ago. And that's how recent HBO now is. So how is it going to last in a year? Is it even going to last 2 years? Who even knows what's going to happen? But it's going to be, whatever it is, it's going to be really interesting. I really wish I could find a story like this about Netflix that goes this deep into, one or two or three of the heads of that and some of the case studies and whatever of the different shows. I'd really love to see that as well. If anyone stumbles upon something like that, let me know. Yeah, I'll probably ask my buddy, ask Charlie. Charlie Capon. I think he works for them now. So
yeah, check with him.
I will definitely post a link to this also in the show notes, by the way, if you want to see this article.
I think it's going back to what you were saying about how, like, you were saying and talked about on the show before, like, HBO's got to be exploring an online option even while they were saying no. I can understand how people would maybe believe them, because what it looked like was that they were pulling a Blockbuster. Because Blockbuster for years, online video, this whole new Netflix thing, you guys, this is just a fad. And, like, now they are,
gone,
literally extinct. They don't exist anymore. So, but HBO is obviously much smarter than that, and you just have to look at, anything that they do to know that, so.
Yeah.
Basically, what we're saying is that we are prophets, and we can see the future, and you should listen to us and give us your questions.
Well, I should have realized at the time, of course they were going to say no. Of course they would say no matter what. They have to say no. And that's, moving forward, I'm obviously going to keep that in mind, that, like, the CEO of a company can't say, oh, yeah, no, we're totally going to change everything.
Yeah, we're going to go online only.
No,
hey, new cable subscribers have plummeted. I wonder why that is.
Exactly. So duh. You know what I mean? Of course that's what they said.
Yeah, the last 4 months that we had cable in my household, we got HBO specifically because HBO said we're not doing an online only thing. And I was like, well, I have to watch Game of Thrones. So, but, like, that just highlights the point. Like, they say that because they have to keep selling the product that they already have. So don't trust corporations, kids. They're not your friends.
Well, and I feel like if it's HBO, they probably would like to do it on their own terms.
Yeah, there's that too.
They're at the point where they can.
Yeah.
So.
And Apple, like, just look at Apple. They're extremely successful, and they are one of the most secretive companies on the face of the earth. So, everybody is sort of, and it's a little bit insane because digital sales, like, we don't know. I have no idea, and I can't find them. Thenumbers.com, you can go there and see how any movie does at any point in time out in the theaters, but digitally you can't see anything. It is like a brick wall. It's insane.
Yeah.
And that's why,
Well, let's get into the main topics. Michelle, why don't you lead us off?
Yes, another rant. Okay. Okay, so I found this doc that's ridiculously eye-opening on YouTube. It's called Celluloid Ceilings. It's about female directors in the film industry. And, I knew the statistics were bad about the difference between the number of women and men directors in the industry, but the numbers they presented were absolutely shocking. It's I think a 21, 22-minute video. But of the top grossing 600 films between 2007 and 2013, only 1.9% were directed by women.
I'm shocked. Wait. No, it's depressingly exactly what I expected.
But it's amazing. So from 2013 to 2014, you'd think like we had done something, and we did. Actually, TV is much better than film. Of the 220 TV shows representing like 3,500 total episodes, only 14% were directed by women. So I mean, we got a little better in TV, but so what happened was in the DGA, so the Directors Guild of America, they have these studio minority agreements, right? In the studio minority agreements for the DGA, minorities, all ethnic minorities of men and women, and then women are just grouped together in one lump. So if a studio is encouraged to hire a minority, they invariably hire an ethnic minority male. And so still women are just SOL. So this group of women, 6 women, put together a motion to make a separate group of women as their own diversity group, in addition to ethnic minorities, which is its own thing, which is great, and put it in front of the Guild in April, and it was voted down 21-14.
What?
I mean, still, yeah.
What a surprising outcome!
In front of the DGA. God. So it just seems like the most ridiculous thing. And thinking about it, I have, in my entire life, as an actor, worked with one female director on screen. No, I've never worked with Ambika. It was Julie Taymor.
Oh, wow.
That was it.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was such a thing. And she was called so many names because the film went over budget, because she wanted what she wanted, and like, it's a whole thing. But like, in my entire life, I've worked with one female director. It is so sad, but I don't know if the DGA isn't willing to change it or fix it or make any kind of move to change it, then I have no idea what we do.
Yeah, like what? I mean, honestly, if you're the DGA, why? I mean, you know, group inertia is one of the hardest things to overcome, because I don't actually believe that the DGA is a bunch of people sitting there with holding signs that say "No girls allowed." It's not an active. It's not an. I'm sure there are probably some individuals in there who hold the opinion that women can't direct films. There probably are, just as there are in any large group. But I think that you are running up against inertia of just like, things are fine. We're getting our membership dues or fees or guild fees or whatever the fuck. You know, our members are winning Academy Award after Academy Award. Why would we go to the trouble? And that's why I think like the only thing that would cause that kind of change is, one, making us think about it as an audience and like asking for more things like that, or two, demonstrating that there is some profitability to it. Like, they announced that what's her name? I don't remember her name, but the girl who's going to be directing Black Panther is a girl and African American,
a woman.
Yeah, and that is a I don't care if it's a marketing thing. I don't care if they're doing it to attract the Tumblr audience. I care that they're doing it. And that's the sort of thing where, like, I think that we are seeing a shift in, like, well, you can't make money with a female lead. Really? Because last year Mockingjay was the highest grossing film of the year. Like, we're proving that those marketing data that have been held for a long time are no longer true. And I think that will make change. And as long as, like, the audience keeps demanding it, that's how you overcome that group inertia. But it is inertia, and it takes a while, and it's annoying.
Well, I think part of the problem is that your average film goer in America, specifically in America, not in Los Angeles and New York, does not know who the director of the film they're seeing is. If it's not a Spielberg film, or it's a Catherine Bigelow film. Thank you, Catherine Bigelow. But I mean, she's it. Like people don't, and how many people in the middle of America know who Catherine Bigelow is?
Right.
So
Yeah,
I think it's drawing more.
Spielberg. Beyond like Scorsese and Spielberg, you know, do
Scorsese,
they know any of
Spielberg,
them?
M. Night Shyamalan.
Maybe.
Maybe like.
But he's a joke now. His name comes up on a film trailer, and the theater bursts out laughing. This is an actual thing that occurs.
Yes, but I mean, but he has a name as a director.
Right.
Ron Howard, maybe. I don't know.
But I don't think that many people would know Catherine Bigelow. Like as many as I think less people would know her than would know Shyamalan, and so
I agree. And
that's just one of those things that the only thing that I think that we can do is keep making films and actively pursue above the line cast and crew, female cast and crew above the line. And publicize and promote it. Like, is it a marketing technique or is it promoting that, hey, it can totally be done this way as well? If it's both, then I'm like, oh, great, do it, And eventually you will have the point where Catherine Bigelow is a household name or some other female director, and it eventually just sort of fades away and becomes less of a thing. I think. I hope anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird that they would vote against it like that by such a huge margin. That's insane.
Well, I mean, the other, to play devil's advocate, you kind of look at it as like the opposite of affirmative action, where you, or the idea of may the best quote unquote man get the job, may the best director, may the best person, may the best the best pitch, whatever, the best connections get the job.
Yeah.
So in hiring, this is playing devil's advocate, I don't believe this, but in hiring, having to hire a woman or an ethnic minority, one is getting a slightly less talented director because you're not allowed to hire Ron Howard.
And theoretically, like,
I don't believe this, but
right,
yeah,
exactly. And that's the thing. Like, there's a huge amount of debate about affirmative action in general, and like, I don't even want to get into the different sides of the debate or try and express my own opinion on it, because it's not something you can do in a 7-minute segment on a single podcast. But it's like, but if you have a group of people who are like, we stand for art and we stand for highest quality above all, then your mission isn't, like, to be completely honest, the mission of the DGA clearly isn't equal and fair representation of all demographics and equal treatment of everyone. They just they say we stand for directing the highest quality films possible, and so like you said, devil's advocate, that could conceivably go against their stated goals as a group. So it's
absolutely.
Anyway.
But how is one to know if one does not see films that are directed by women, because women are not hired to direct films?
Well, plus,
DGA
the DGA is basically a union, so so the job is to keep all their workers working as much as possible, make sure that they're paid to the best of their ability, So I don't know if it's I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and
we should move on. But like, if you want
to,
we should move on to Garrett. But it's really interesting, and it's only like 21, 22 minutes. It's called Celluloid Ceilings, and it's on YouTube.
Wow!
All right, definitely check it out.
Learn about the history of women, female directors in film, and like what they've done, and it's
cool.
It's really great.
Super quick side note before Eric goes into his thing. It is hopeforfilm.com. It is really interesting, and it's a really crazy looking website. Like,
right.
Again, I'll put the post. I'll put it in the show links. But like, the background color is all really crazy. It looks like it was made in like the mid '90s or something. But it's interesting.
But it's
crazy.
Fun. I think it's happy.
I'll check it out. It is happy.
That's awesome. So I'll talk about my main topic. Hank Green had a bit of a weird day on Tumblr this Friday, and it was weird for me. It probably wasn't weird for him, since he's probably used to it by now. And full disclosure, right up front, Hank Green supports me on Patreon, so I'm biased in this direction, and I was biased before that because I'm a huge fan of his. But he got attacked by people in his Ask box on Tumblr. You can send asks to people on Tumblr, and they can answer them publicly if they want to. And he got like quite a lot of hatred about two entirely different subjects. In one case, Hank stated simply that he believes human lives are more valuable than animal lives, which is his reasoning behind A, supporting animal testing on drugs and medicines, not cosmetics, because that's obviously just using them for vainglory, but like for drugs and medicines that are, you know, ostensibly to save human lives. He supports that. And B, he eats meat. He tries not to, as much as like he doesn't. He thinks that we as a society should eat less meat because it's not necessarily as sustainable. But he doesn't think that there's anything inherently wrong with it. So that was one thing. And the second subject was when he pointed out that Christians who are against homosexuality are bigoted and hold an intolerant viewpoint. And it doesn't matter if they say hate the sin and love the sinner. That's basically a smokescreen. Their viewpoint is bigoted by the definition of bigotry. It is holding, you know, a set and firm viewpoint against a wide group of people based on the fact that they are all one thing, and failing to recognize them at all as nuanced people, and holding some negative viewpoint about all of them simply because of the way that they are. So these are the two things, and they just got massive floods of communication, a lot of it extremely antagonistic, like to the point of like, I mean, you know how the internet can get. And Hank just went ahead and answered it for several hours,
Wow.
and he just talked about it.
Wow,
It
good
was
for
really,
him.
yeah, it was really weird to watch. First of all, I personally like kind of agree with a lot of what he said. Not every single thing that he said during the course of the hours that he was doing it, but with a lot of it. But when people disagreed, it most often wasn't enough to just say that and explain their reasoning. Like, it's not enough to just, you know, disagree. A lot of the comments and messages were hate-filled, you know, contained a lot of language that you wouldn't necessarily want to repeat, and there was a lot of common messages saying, like, I really used to like you and think you were a cool person, but now I have to stop, you know, consuming any of your content and all that sort of thing. I mean, first of all, those people leaving his audience doesn't necessarily, like, you know, I don't think really hurt Hank Green in any way. But I don't know if this is just me, but I sort of have this viewpoint about people who do good things in the world, like a lot of good things. And Hank Green, you could make a pretty strong argument that he's done more concrete good in the world than any other YouTuber, certainly that I can think of. First of all, he's personally enabled dozens, if not, you know, more than 100 other YouTubers to actually make a living off of doing what they do when they would have had no or very, very slim chances of making it on their own. But, like, way more importantly than that, because that is, like, you know, a pretty privileged class of people who make a living off of YouTube, way more important is through the various charity events that he does every year, like the Project for Awesome and the Harry Potter Alliance and all this other sort of stuff. He's been responsible for tens of millions of dollars going to charities around the world. And he's way more active in this stuff than any other YouTuber I know of, even his brother John Green, who is also very active in this stuff, but Hank Green is just like the next level. But Hank and John and other YouTubers as well are periodically assaulted by these hate campaigns that are like arranged against them by big groups of people online. And it just boggles my mind that you can even find that many people who want to attack them. Like, okay, you hold animal lives equally as valuable as human lives. I respect that a whole lot more than I respect the other thing about, you know, holding your opinion about gay people.
Yeah.
If that's your viewpoint, that's totally cool, and you want to be a vegetarian or a vegan or whatever, and even if you want to criticize me and be like, well, how can you justify me, and like that's totally cool. You want to like I absolutely respect that viewpoint. And those are viewpoints. Those are like viewpoints on morality and everything like that. But you're going to hold to that belief so highly that you're going to participate in an organized online attack of a man who has personally ensured that like tens of thousands of people in developing countries have clean drinking water. Like, you're going to go after that guy? He's established like all of these grassroots projects and charities to help with suicide prevention and equal rights for the LGBT community and like all this kind of stuff. It's like, and Hank and John have actually talked about this on their channel before. They've talked about this exact phenomenon because they get fans who are upset like me and who ask them about it and everything. And they just are totally dismissive of it. Like, to them, it's the first worldiest of first worldy problems. They don't have to spend a lot of time worrying about it because they're rich white men in America, and that's true. Like, they are, you know.
That's funny.
Nasty emails, like, don't even. Yeah, like, nasty emails don't even affect that. But as a fan of theirs, I just get so upset. Like, I find it super, super annoying. And
the first thing you should recognize, though, is it's not. I don't think it's organized in the sense that I think you think it's organized in, at least in the way you just said it.
Yeah, like, so, some of the stuff that happened on Friday wasn't, but another thing that happened recently to John very much was there was a group that formed online that started spreading. Not even rumors. It's hard to describe the way that they were going about it, but it was the most stinky, slimy, disgustingly passive-aggressive thing I've ever seen, where they were posting things on Tumblr where, like, John Green reminds me of a pedophile, but, like, much more elaborate than that and everything, where it's like there's no accusation, there's no this, that, like, it's...
Who was that? Who was at the heart of that? Did they find out?
I don't know, like, you know, GayMonkey69, Tumblr.com, like, I don't know, like, just people with these random...
I mean, I belong to a lot of political, like, email lists, so I get, I'll be on, like, action lists of, like, hey, you got to call your senator about this, hey, you got to boycott this over that. I get a lot of these things because, you know, I have a certain, but I'm on a lot more than I believe, you know what I mean? So, because I want to know what's going on, and like 1 out of 100, I'll actually do something about, and I'll be deleting like 100 emails a day, just seeing some of these things. So, but that's how a lot of this stuff is, and I can see like PETA or any of these, you know, animal rights activists, getting behind the first part. The other thing, I'm sure that, you know, the right wing has just as active groups as the rest of us, you know, so I can see a lot of that. But I mean, and I guess if you think about it, that is organizing. But it's God, it's upsetting to think that trolls actually have, you know what I mean? And what do? Do they have like 10 accounts that they'll go and troll somebody on, or you know what I mean? Or is it just...
And the really annoying thing is that it does happen on both sides. There are same-sex marriage rights activists who organize the same kinds of campaigns against you know, hardcore Christian right-wing conservatives and everything. It absolutely happens on both sides, and it's just like, I just happen to get personally upset when it happens to Hank Green because I like him. Obviously that's a very biased viewpoint, but I don't think that it should happen in either direction. I think that we can be critical of things, people, events, creations, works of art, while still loving them, like, without attacking them and trying to destroy them. A perfect example is a great Tumblr blog called Whovian Feminism, and she writes feminist articles about Doctor Who, and it's like, you know, each week when the episode comes out, it's like, this was a great episode. This interaction between the companion and the president was just like really weird because we've been building her up as this great character, and then he's like utterly dismissive of her, and it did a lot to tear her down. And people are always on her like, how can you hate Doctor Who? Da 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 da. And she's like, I fucking love Doctor Who. I don't spend hours a week working on reviews of a show that I'm hate watching. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? So, anyway, it's...
But I think there's room, and there's room in
I guess it's the price you pay for success, but it sucks, and I think people should just stop. Just stop! Stop it!
So, I don't think he heard that you were speaking. Go ahead, Michelle.
It's fine. There just should be room in our society for voicing one's opinion and accepting all other opinions.
That's the funny.
And it's just so simple.
That's the funniest thing about the anti-gay marriage thing. They were like, you're going after our free speech? Like, what? That's insane. You can say anything you want to say. Like, that has nothing to do with it. You're trying to actually shut down people's rights to do something. Right. Nobody's shutting, like, you can talk all you want, and I'll talk back at you. You know what I mean? But to call it a free speech thing is ridiculous.
I've got this image in my head that just because it's Hank Green makes me think of Tom Green, makes me think of Road Trip, makes me think of when he has the fucking mouse by the tail, and he's like putting it in the cage with the snake, and he's like, release the fury, Mitch. Release the fury. You know?
Did not see that.
Tom Green.
Tom-
No,
Not a Tom Green
Road
fan.
Trip? Who are you?
No, I don't like Tom Green. I don't watch Tom Green.
Not a Tom Green fan myself. The third Green brother was not as well liked or successcul. They actually do have a running joke about Dave Green, the long lost third vlog brother.
That's hilarious. I'm going to go ahead and jump into mine if that's okay. I think we're running a little long. So this is actually, it's not so much it's actually a little bit more of, I don't know, housekeeping to a certain degree. Since we have more than doubled I don't know if you guys have looked at the website, but I posted how much we made from WMM Fest, and as everybody knows, 70% of everything we make goes immediately into our rolling production fund. So that's what we did, and so our rolling production fund has jumped. I have yet to get absolute verification of my calculations, but our CFO Alon is always double checking, and I make slight adjustments if I'm off by a buck or two here or there. So there may be an adjustment later, but at the moment it's over it's over $1,422. So that's quite a jump. We've more than doubled our prior situation. And since that happened, I just want to kind of have a conversation about when we should open our submissions. Obviously, the board is going to make the decisions that they're going to make, but I'd love to, obviously, I'm not sure. I don't have, sometimes I have the thing where I can see how many people are watching, so I don't know if there's anybody on live.
There's 3.
Oh, okay, cool. Nobody's commenting. So at any rate, if you do have a point of view about this, please do comment on the YouTube channel, and I'd like to address it. But at any rate, on the one hand, I want to make sure that we kind of decide when we're going to take submissions.
Right.
The smartest. I don't think we actually should wait until when we have already made the money, because the whole process takes about 3 months anyway. You know, from submissions to kind of going through them and getting them into sort of semifinals, blah, blah, blah. So it's going to take a while to do anyway. So I'd like to start it before we've made there. But should we start it right now? Or should we wait till it's a lot closer? I mean, we're only about a third of the way to the target, and at this rate that we're not going to have the $5,000 to make the short film that we've already agreed to make until next year's WMM Fest. And I'm not just being dramatic. I actually have run the numbers.
Right.
And that's actually 100% true. At this rate of growth, that will exactly be the time when we're doing that. Now, there's obviously at least a half dozen things that could happen that could speed up our growth substantially. Many of them based on some of our services and features that we're kind of planning to kind of roll out. But a lot of those features that actually take money to implement, and that's kind of this catch-22 that we're kind of stuck in, is until we have the money, we won't get the things that's going to give us more money. But a script challenge is actually one of those things that we've done several times in the past, and could be one of those things that could help us get there. So that's kind of the way I want to use it. My thought is that, once we have the 5,000 that we've. Oh, and by the way, if you're watching this and you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, $5,000 short film. In April, all the members and regulars, we voted. We had a survey, an online survey, and every regular and we were like, what are we going to do? How much money to make each different thing? And $5,000 to make a short was far and away the winner. So anyway, that's what I'm talking about. So. Why do I think we should do it before we make the money? It is primarily because these script challenges, like I said, we've done them many times in the past, and every time we've done them, it's brought a lot more people in, at least through them. We've done it. We did two different slates when we raised extra money to do short films. And then we also did a feature one with Equal Rights, which we did with Duly Noted a couple years ago. And like I said, every time we've done it, we've brought a lot more people. Now, with our new Patreon model, are those new people going to flip over? It's hard to say. It could be better. It could be worse. But but it is more likely to get better because
Right.
obviously only members and regulars are going to be able to submit. So,
Right.
and it's such a cheap buy-in. Why wouldn't you do it? So anyway, I'm thinking we should do is take this month and next month to just get our shit together and promote the submissions so that by September we get the submissions. So anyone who is a member in September, we're accepting submissions. If you're not a member in September, you don't get submissions. So that hopefully will drive up membership in September. And then in October, we read them. We do the semifinalists and we decide on the finals. And then at the very beginning of November, we have the finals and then we decide. So that by November, we know what that first film is. And so even if we haven't made the money by then, we'll just wait a few more months till WMM Fest 2016, and then we'll get there. But it also is likely that once we know what we have, and there's obviously the argument to the other, it's like, oh, but membership will drop off afterwards and blah, blah, blah. And that's totally possible. But who knows? Maybe some people who just kind of stumble onto us and like, man, these guys are awesome. I really want to be a part of this. That's obviously what I'm hoping. But anyway, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. If you're watching this and you have comments, I would love to hear your comments. Obviously, Garrett and Michelle, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well.
Here's the thing. After you.
Ladies first.
Competition is always good. Bring it on. I think I keep hearing this over and over, and just maybe because I specifically have friends that their jobs are to find content for mostly for networks, but the overruling thing is that there's a significant lack of great content, and if we can find that, and if we can procure that and curate that and just get that going. I mean, I think there are people out there that are not writing that should be, and I think there are beautiful short films that are sitting on people's desktops or laptops or whatever, just sitting there.
So wait or don't wait?
Don't wait.
Okay.
Don't ever wait.
No, I'm not talking about for the writing. I'm talking about for the submissions. That's what I'm talking
about. No, but she's saying that like people probably already have excellent stuff that they should submit and start working on and all that sort of thing. Here's
because also like the longer you have once you start asking for submissions, the longer someone has to write, the longer someone has to work on stuff. So if you have a window, you're going to garner better work.
It's not a contrasting viewpoint because I don't think we should wait. However, from a putting it all together type of thing, from a positioning standpoint, I really, really dislike the position of become a member so that you can submit, because every novel writing, script writing, every contest that's out there that's like a contest where you only have to pay $10 in order to submit your script for us to then judge and pick a winner. Like all of that, I hate that, and I think other people hate that too. However, I still think we should do the contest because I think it will organically bring new people in. And I think that we should encourage our members to talk about it and bring in friends of theirs for the script workshops and to hear their scripts be read and everything like that. And like let the members and the new people coming in tell each other, oh, but you only actually get to submit if you're a member. I just don't think that should be part of. You see what I mean? Like,
or you
so let that part of it be
for free if you're a member. You submit for free if you're a member. You pay a fee.
I can tell you right now, you're not. They're not. The board is not going to. The rest of the organization is very much. And I don't want to name names, but there are certain people at the head of the organization. I don't disagree with them, but their point of view is like our members are the people we want to support. Fuck everybody else.
I agree with that.
That's what I.
If you want to be like that's me. Here's what I have to say about the creation of short films.
Fantastic.
What's ridiculous is the first thing I noticed about that is I know that font. Capture it. That is captured.
It is really. Oh,
Yes.
I know.
I know.
Fantastic.
Where did you get that? Oh, by the way, for
It's
people who are listening
literally
to this,
it's literally sitting next to my computer. I actually
she just showed this piece of paper that says every fart is like a, what does it say again? Every
Snowflake is like a snowflake.
Every fart is like a snowflake. That's it.
I would highly disagree, by the way. I would highly disagree because they do not taste anything the same. Not even a little bit like each other.
It's actually a YouTube video that's about these reality TV producers who had to create their own fart sounds.
Well, but sorry, my thing is that...
Whatever. Anyway,
let's get back on the topic.
With the real stuff.
I think and I don't disagree with that. I do get your point. I hate this. Anything that even smells like pay to play, I do hate it. But the point is that we are a community. We're not, I mean, yes, we're not a nonprofit, but that's honestly primarily, it's not like there's a profit being made. It's just primarily because it's just too expensive to actually do the whole process. It's easier and less expensive. Anyway, I won't get into that. This is like a whole hour's conversation. But the point is that nobody's getting rich off of this at all. Nobody's getting rich. Nobody's making a freaking dime off of this stuff. And people are on the contrary, they're getting, they're working for free. They're volunteering, or they're working for practically free. So it's not going to be, that's the thing. And so I get the point of view, but
yeah, it's just a positioning thing.
Yeah, and when you know more about us, then it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So
exactly.
maybe that is the ticket. Maybe that is the ticket to not promote it that way. Anyway, I think we're probably out of time. But if you do have thoughts on this and you haven't been able to post it, please do comment on it eventually on or wherever you can put it. You can do it on Twitter #WeMakeMovies. Put it on my Facebook post, see Kukahiko, or whatever. So we should probably wrap up, yeah?
Yeah, totally. It's a bit of a long show today, but it's a good show, so fuck all you people.
Hell, fuck you, and fuck the system.
And fuck the DGA. No, just kidding.
Yeah, no.
All right, so we end with the community news. First off, though, if you are a listener or a watcher of the live show on YouTube, please do pop over to iTunes and rate the show. Rate it, leave it a review. It helps other people find us and grow the audience and help introduce more people to We Make Movies, which is always a good thing. This week, the Writers' Workshop is happening. I have missed them so much. I will definitely be there this Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. at the Theater Asylum in Theater Asylum.
Yes, I might have a script in it. I don't know.
Dad, and I'm not gonna be there.
It might be the next workshop, but it might be this one. I don't. It just depends because I'm like number 5 on the list apparently. And it's a fun one.
It is our first post WMM Fest workshop of the year. Definitely come by. It's been way too long since I've gotten to just hang out with motherfuckers. So come on by. We'll have a really good time. And finally, as always, We Make Movies is, as far as we know, the only community of filmmakers in the world that is completely supported by its own community. That happens via Patreon.com, which is a crowdfunding website, but it's not like Kickstarter or Indiegogo where you do a one-time funding of a particular thing. It's more of a way where you can subscribe to artists who create content that is, generally mostly free. And so all of our events, our filmmaking workshops, and now our actual films being made by the community is funded by our awesome, generous, and completely sexually attractive supporters on Patreon.com. So if you want to become more attractive to whatever gender appeals to you, pop over to Patreon.com/WeMakeMovies. And please don't sue us for false advertising because it will do nothing for your sex appeal. Nothing! We end, as always, with things to know, and since I've been talking for a while, I'm actually going to let Chad go first. Chad, what should we know?
I have actually been really getting into Periscope lately. I cannot entirely explain why. It's really, I'm not broadcasting at all. I'm totally just lurking. I'm totally just a peeping Tom into other people's.
Well,
lives.
then that's your reason, right?
I've heard that about you.
You creeper.
I am a creeper, but you should check it out. It's not that much of a creeper because they're obviously broadcasting it voluntarily, so they want people to look. But it's really interesting, and it's what? Go ahead. What?
I just want to know. Never mind.
They have. There's this thing on Periscope where you can watch videos that have been posted up until 24 hours later, and some of the things they happen so quick, so you're just probably gonna miss them and then you look if you follow a bunch of different people, and then you're like, John Mayer's playing a song in his living room. Oh, that's it. You know what I mean? It's really interesting, and it's what's fascinating to me about it is that it's the immediacy of it. Like, I do Snapchat as well, but for some reason, because I don't know, it just doesn't appeal to me the same as Periscope. So check it out, Periscope, really interesting.
Snapchat is like a saved message that you send, whether it's a picture or a video, and this is like, it's happening right now, and
exactly.
If you don't see it, you're not going to get to see it for very long.
And you only have a certain chunk of time, and I don't know if that's true at all. Anyway, it's like the
exact opposite of Hulu, where it's like, I can miss the live show, I can just catch it tomorrow. You know,
right.
And this is like, if you don't catch it right now or in the next 24 hours, it's gone.
Yes, exactly. And I rarely actually get on when the stuff that I'm interested in is actually happening. I'm rarely, occasionally when I am, I'll make a comment, but it's, it's not, anyway, check it out, Periscope, cool.
That's cool. My thing to know is that Darkfire, the third book in the Nightblade epic, which is my big book series, is releasing in just a few weeks. It is actually available for pre-order right now. The Kindle edition is available for pre-order. I'll try and include a link in the description below the video. I'm much worse about that than Chad is, so
just put it in the spreadsheet. I'll take care of it.
Okay, awesome. And you can also just search the word Darkfire on Amazon, and it will be there. Michelle?
I have a thing to know that has nothing to do with film other than Black Swan. I am starting a blog.
What?
That will be launching a week from today. That is called Ballet That's Not Boring. So it's my take on the world of ballet and steps on ballet. Do not look at it unless you want to see scantily clothed women doing flexible things.
Hey, but what about what's her name making the primary dancer, by the way?
Misty Copeland.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is like, it is the hugest step in the world of ballet. Huge. Wow. And she's stunning. She's a stunning dancer. She should. Amazing. Absolutely. But it's called Ballet That's Not Boring, so it'll be ballethat'snotboring.blogger.com or whatever. If you happen to be a ballet geek like me, you can go check it out. And if you're not a ballet geek, there's some chicks in leotards doing flexible things.
I'm there. What was the website again? I was out. I was not paying any attention, and then that happened. All right, awesome. And with that, I will bring this episode of the We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast to a close. Thank you for watching live, the people who have been popping in and out during the live show, and thank you to our audio listeners.
Yeah.
I am Garrett Robinson. You can find me at garrettbrobinson.com. Chad is online at superfreako.com, and Michelle is on Twitter at mlucadoo. We'll see you next week, everybody. Goodbye.
Looks like I'm naked.
It totally does, actually.
Except
It totally looks like she's naked. Go watch the YouTube video.